Hi, it's Monday, it's 3 o'clock. Welcome to Together Unlocked, brought to you as always by Together 2012. We're led by disabled artists based in the main London 2012 host borough of Newham. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as Ju90. I'm an artist and artistic director of Together 2012. With me in my East London studio, as always, because she's been locked in with me since March, is our chair, the artist Julie Newman. We'll come back to East London for some audio description in a minute, but first, at the other end of our very long virtual sofa, in what appear to be colder conditions than East London, we have our West Midlands hosts for some introductions and some audio description.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I'm Robin Surgeonator. I am the business director of Together 2012 and an artist known as Angry Fish. Yeah, we're up here in Sutton Coldfield where we've had actually a fair degree of rain in the last 24 hours. It's not cold. I'm not quite, I was a bit astonished to see Josh suddenly dressed in a hooded sweatshirt. So there you go. Um, I'm as surprised as you are. um, yeah, so and it's okay up here, but yeah, very sporadic rain at the moment. Together, I just to give myself a description. I am wearing a brown Bob Marley t-shirt. I'd mentioned this one before, but I rather like it, and I'm convincing myself actually that it is warm. So it's a very summery coloured t-shirt. So it's a brown-based t-shirt, but with green, gold, and red bands across the middle with the words Exodus and Bob Marley and stuff. And I am sporting my shorter haircut and glasses and a very unshaved face. But there we go.
I am Josh Surgeonator. I'm a PhD student and one of the hosts of Together TV. I have kind of swept over blonde hair, a gingery, very ginger beard now that I've let it grow out. Um,
There's not much difference.
uh, and I'm wearing a red hooded sweatshirt that has a large gold lion on the left breast with a black outline. And yeah, that is me.
Is that Harry Potter by any chance?
It is, yeah. You can't see it on the show, but it has a kind of black underneath that says Gryffindor, and then it says
And you
Gryffindor in
do
big letters. It's a Quidditch hoodie.
slightly You do look very slightly like Ron Weasley. We always have an argument on the discussion about whether he is blonde or ginger because we're very ginger here in East London. While we're introducing ourselves, I think there's a slight lighting problem over in the West Midlands. I can't lip
I've
read your faces very easily.
I've just realised that actually. Sorry. So
Okay, so you get on with that and we'll do some descriptions. So I'm in my late 50s. I have a short tenured self administered corona crop. I've got a white t-shirt with the pattern or in silver and maroon of some kind of electronics board, very appropriate for our app date at 3:15. I've got silver jewelry and black wrist braces. Julie, who are you and what do you look like?
I'm the chair. I've got silver and gold hair. I've got dark rimmed glasses. I've got a perennial favourite polo shirt, which is dark navy blue with blankets on it.
Thank you, Julie. Oh, great. That is looking much better, guys. So, we bring you this show as part of Together 2012's Join In From Home programme. We have a whole range of accessible, inclusive activities for you on our website, and we're going to show you a film about that in a little bit. First of all, on a Friday, we always have an item called Something for the Weekend. So we're going to check back and find out how the weekend went. Coming up at 3:15, we have the second of our new app date features. So if you're interested, and you should be, in the pilot project for the NHS Test and Trace app, we have got more news coming up. We've also got news of opportunities for artists, including Sahira Khan, who's going to tell us all about a creative writing course with Definitely Theatre. That's for deaf and hard of hearing women. Looks absolutely fantastic. And we're going to be seeing our new film at the end of the show called A Nice Cup of Tea. Some of you will know that Friday before last, we murdered our way through the new words to a sea shanty that the Together Music Club had written the night before. We've now edited that together with footage of our shows since the end of March when lockdown began. And we're going to screen that just after 10 to 4. We're also going to be putting, I think, 7 or 8 short films from this film onto the internet. So you'll see them popping up on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Please repost them and like them. That's how we get the word out. So, how did your weekend go up in Sutton Coldfield?
Okay. But I mean, it was okay. It was a busy one. Had training Saturday morning, and then
And is this swimming training?
yeah, swimming training. Sorry, swimming coaching. Saturday morning, and then spent a lot of the weekend tidying, which is not that exciting, but it is something. It was definitely something for the weekend. And actually, that's my excuse why the lights went on, because I've had a bit of a rearrange, and it's one of those because they're normally just on. But I did manage. I didn't get to see everything I wanted to do. I won't talk about the Grand Prix. I'll leave that to others. But I did watch the film. If you anyone that was watching Friday, I recommended the Filmed in Locked Up series, and I actually watched the Her and Her film yesterday morning, and actually it was really good. It made me, as someone who's racking his brains on how he could do a film about home. Um, it was yeah, really kind of thought inspiring, and it's very good. I don't want to give it away because it's I mean, not that there's a huge story to it, but it does tell a tale as it goes through. And it's about the developing relationship of two women who have moved in together, and how that's changed from being two single people to being a couple affects them. But they're also a mixed race couple, so there are lots of kind of like tangential things. But actually, it was done really, really well. So, um, anyone who's thinking, well, how do I make a short film about me and my life without having to be Spielberg or somebody? Yeah, it was very good. I mean, I'm sure that they had BBC cameras by the quality of the production values, but that's not the point. Actually, the content was really kind of very good.
Yeah, if I can just come in for a minute, it's part, isn't it, of a series called Culture in Quarantine. That was commissioned back in the spring by the BBC and Arts Council England. We weren't eligible because we'd already started and it had to be for new projects, and the maximum length it could be was 15. But it's really nice to see it all coming to fruition. I was a little bit sad that everything had to be finished by July because, of course, here we are in August and nothing has really changed in terms of infection rates and going out. So it would be nice to think that there's going to be a lot more to come also online. What else did you do? Or was that it? I did a lot of tidying up myself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think other than things that were shared by other members of the sofa, which I won't steal their thunder.
Yeah, I mean, just to quickly kind of pick up what you were talking about around the production value, in that it was filmed with BBC equipment. We talked about it many shows ago, right towards the start of the show. But there's a film called High Flying Bird on Netflix, which is filmed entirely on smartphones and iPhones. And there's a couple of films by the same director that are all shot on smartphones. You'd be hard pressed to tell, unless someone says that's filmed on an iPhone, you wouldn't know. So, the fact that you don't have access to a, £8,000 red camera doesn't mean you can't make it. You can make something that still looks professional on with an iPhone. And if you've got a slightly shaky hand, use a tripod or run it through a computer program that makes it still for you, because they can do that now, and it really takes all of the stress out of it. Um,
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I mean, particularly, and of course with the Androids as well, and there's some that are at least as good as the iPhone. These are all much better quality cameras than we were using in professional TV even 10 years ago, and certainly 20 years ago. So, yeah, and if you haven't got the latest iPhone, as we so often say, and we will come on to discuss further in our discussions around filmmaking that we usually have on a Monday, if it's a good image and a good story, the quality really is neither here nor there. And actually, if that film does go on to be shown more widely, there's an awful lot you can do or somebody else can do to process it and improve the quality of both the sound and the vision really quite considerably. I think people are always surprised. What else did you do at the weekend, Josh?
so I did a lot of reading this weekend. There's a TV show that came out about 15 years ago now, called Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I would argue is the best TV show ever made, and will fight anyone that disagrees with me on that point. It's an excellent show, but since that show finished, there's been kind of a series of kind of follow on graphic novels that kind of continue the story, and I think there's 6 from that series, and then there's another set from the sequel series. So I started kind of working my way through those, reading them all kind of digitally online. They cost between £3.87 and £4 and 2p, depending on which ones they are, from Amazon. And I've been really enjoying it. I've read 3 so far. And yeah, just having a great time. And we're talking about it a little bit before the show. It's quite interesting, kind of, when you read a book to yourself. Normally, when I read, it's just my own voice that I read it in, unless it's kind of specified otherwise that they have an accent or whatever. But I thought it was quite funny reading these ones, that because it's the characters from the show, that actually when I read it in my own head, I read it in the voice of the characters. So I'm kind of doing this whole play in my head and reading this story, and kind of doing all of the voices, which is it just makes it more fun, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because so often the film comes after the graphic novels or after the novel. But if you see the film first, yes, inevitably those things happen. Julie, did you have anything you wanted to discuss? Vroom vroom.
I listened to the Grand Prix and actually really enjoyed it. The BBC Sounds app has got some very good uh, podcasts and a bit actually radio journalism. Let's face it. And I thought the coverage for BBC Sport was excellent. They did it on Radio 5, and it worked very well. So I enjoyed that a lot. I spent a lot of time watching the coral reef, the Coral City camera online. And what was really exciting for me was I saw some fishes which I never knew even existed. I knew some existed with it, but I'd never seen them in real before. And to find a lizard fish and a scorpion fish just completely blew my mind. It's sort of like I thought, wow, and I learned a lot.
I think we should talk a little bit more later about the whole concept of slow TV. And indeed, this week's Nature Watch with an assistance dog comes from Suffolk again with Merlot Plurger, and I think is definitely what one might call slow television, which is becoming increasingly popular. So we'll explain all about it later, Robin. I spent, well, apart from doing a lot of housework, I think I can only really remember what I was watching yesterday, which is bad when you think about it. Clearly, I was very, very, very busy. But I listened to and watched Black Pride while I was clearing up. And that was a plus and a minus. It would have been nice if I couldn't do anything else while I was watching it. At that point, it was great to be able to still access it when I was doing the things that were essential. All of the things that we've discussed are on our highlights and links page under Friday's date. Our highlights and links page, which also includes the videos, the pictures, the poems, anything we show on the stream, is in the menu underneath the Together Unlocked TV menu on our website. I'm going to put up what we call a crawler so you can see for yourselves where to email and contact us. But we're on info or TV at together2012.org.uk, and join in from home program, the website where you can see all of the recordings of previous shows, and our highlights and links page are all on www.together2012.org.uk. You can watch this show with live captions on the website, or join in via live chat from YouTube, or swap backwards and forwards. So I believe it's now past 3:15 and time for our app date. So I'm cueing you to say, Robin.
Yes. What's app, Doc?
You can see we're struggling away already. So, app date is our new spot for the next month or so, possibly longer, possibly forever, given how important apps are to artists these days. But we're all very excited at the news that the new NHS app is finally ready to test, and it's going to be tested in Newham. What's going to be happening is, on, I think by Friday, every resident is going to receive a letter with a special code, and that's going to give you priority access to the app. What we need you to do is download the app, install it, and use it. And over the next few weeks, when we get sight of it, which I'm going to get a preview tomorrow as one of the first people, then we'll be going through all of this in a lot more detail. In the meantime, if you don't live in Newham, you can still help make this the world beating app that everybody needs. And in particular, you can help make it accessible to disabled people. Let us know, what do you like and loathe about apps? What is your favorite app? What is the most common problem you have downloading and installing apps? Anything app related you want to tell us, get on the email. It's still running across the bottom of the screen now. info@together2012.org.uk or tv@together2012.org.uk. But we're also going to be talking about how apps are designed, the interfaces, the careers for artists within apps, and the kind of apps that we can use within our artwork. So let's go round in this session. Who's got a favourite app they would like to talk about?
Well, there's one I really appreciate. There are loads. They're going through my head now.
I'm leaving.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly what, because some of these have pay for versions of them, and I think that's something we should make sense. A lot of apps that you get will say to them, download purchasable content, or additional purchases may be required and stuff like that. So that's something to be really, really careful of, and ensure that you can't accidentally spend loads of money. And if you have a child, I mean, yes, EJ did once spend about £200 on buying something on a Pokemon, I think it was. And in fairness, the iTunes store went, yeah, we can see this, and gave me all the money back. But that's not the point. Don't get there in the first place. So my app, I mean, as a musician that I always like, and claim that I don't do cover versions, is one. It's called Ultimate Guitar, and it's got hundreds, tens of thousands, if not more, user versions of songs. So if you want to know how to play uh, something by Lady Gaga, you go into the app, type in Lady Gaga, and it'll give you a list of um, songs that have been transcribed, usually in chord versions. There are, as I say, there are paid versions which go into more professional levels with all kinds of like manuscripts and things like that. But the basic kind of chord versions of songs are in the free version, and it's great because then you realise how many songs you still can't play.
We'll be putting all of these apps on the highlights and links page, so don't worry about finding them. Yeah, that just sounds amazing. What's your favourite app, Josh?
So I'm disappointed that I didn't say I was appalled at your jokes. The other one, the app that I use outside of Google Maps so I don't get lost, is Audible. I absolutely love Audible. Um,
Is
every
that
year,
absolutely?
sorry.
Absolutely.
um, Shocking. Yeah, no, Audible is. I mean, you get a kind of email at the end of each year that has your kind of stats, of kind of how much you've listened to it that year, and it's always many hundreds of hours. Um, I'll have to tie it up for Wednesday what my total listening time is, but it's going to be quite high. But yeah, I mean, I have all sorts of kind of genres of books, from sci-fi, kind of crime books, thriller books, through to kind of non-fiction. Um, and it's great. You can pop it on while you're cleaning, while you're driving, you go to bed. Um, yeah, love it.
Is it a subscription? Is it like a monthly subscription?
It can be. So what you can do is the app itself is free. Um, an account in theory is free because it runs through Amazon, and because they brought it. So you can buy books for money, however much it is. They do have kind of free books and
There
things.
was a lot of free books on Amazon, isn't there?
Yeah, there's and they've started doing kind of original content, which are almost kind of podcast type things. Um, that they're all free, but then yes, there's subscriptions. So the one that I have, I think, is $7.99 a month. That might be a grandfather price. I'm not sure, but and basically for that I get a credit a month. I mean, one credit is one book, so that book could be 5p, and you can get it through a credit, or it can be £200 and it's one credit. Um, so it's a pretty good deal. And a lot of the books that I get, because they're kind of longer books, they're kind of 15 to 20 hours typically for a novel. They're normally kind of 30-40 pounds. Whereas you can just use a credit and it's that's it. And then if you don't use it, they stack as well. If you don't use it, it doesn't lose, it just stays. So you can have
An extra credit from me. Can you define what an app is?
an app is a piece of software that can be used on an electronic device for a specific purpose.
Is it not just application for applicate for?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm thinking is you can watch this show on YouTube on your TV. You do not need to have a smartphone or a computer. So I do think we should get back to some basics as well, but I'm going to let you off for today. And
I googled it. It said an application, especially as downloaded by a user to a mobile device. So I was close.
yes, I think all of this makes perfect sense if you know what an app is, but I'm still going to get us to do a bit of research for Wednesday to say if you haven't used a smartphone and you don't have a computer, how can we define this in plain English or indeed easy words and pictures? Julie, what's your favourite app?
At the moment, Kindle. I have Kindle Unlimited, which again is a subscription, but it means I can have 10 free books at a time. and that's a rolling program. They have a range of books which are free for unlimited reading, which I use. I very rarely ever buy a book, an electronic book, but I've been reading over the last 2 weeks. I've been reading a whole series of detective stories set in the Fenlands and the Northeast, and absolutely loving them. I've really, really enjoyed them. The difficulty I have with Josh's Audible is that I go to sleep. Quite simply, as soon as somebody says, and then the door was open, and I go,
but it is still quite useful if you're an insomniac. Yes, I mean, I think the Kindle app has been incredibly useful because what it means is you can read a Kindle book without having a Kindle. And I've got about 3 different sorts of Kindle, but I haven't used any of them for, I think, about 2 years when I went off to work in South Korea for a week and just took the Kindle app on my phone. And ever since, I've been reading the books on the phone or the iPad because it's either smaller or bigger than the Kindle. So that's just a piece of software that turns my telephone, my computer, my iPad, everything I want to into a Kindle book. And I have a very small publishing company, and I still get people, particularly at the moment, wanting to order books in print and me having to explain that I can't get to the post office, but everything is available on Kindle. And then people say to me, well, I don't have a Kindle. And actually, nobody needs a Kindle. And you download the app, it's completely free, and you can access literally hundreds of thousands of books, including the whole of what's known as the Gutenberg project. And the Gutenberg project started back in the early 90s. And the idea was that every single book that was out of copyright would be scanned into this database. So every single classic you can imagine is available for free. And you can, like I say, run the Kindle app on just about anything, including some pretty old phones. But without further ado, we will say that's it for today. So, can we have another dreadful pun to finish up with the app date?
Well,
I would appreciate it.
apologies.
Round of applause.
All right, yeah.
What were the
And-
apologies for, Julie?
for banging on.
Apologies for the dreadful pun.
And I find it all very appealing.
Good. Well, on that appealing note, let's have a look at the rest of our Join In From Home programme. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. Dance Club usually meets on the 4th Monday of each month, and they create improvised masked dance for the screen. Here you can also see their very first film, where they simply made masks from paper plates, covered themselves with fabric, and just moved gently to the music. You can hear as well, there's a digitized soundtrack. So we're suggesting that you make a mask out of anything you can think of. It could be a cardboard box, a paper bag, a paper plate, as in here. Video yourself dancing in it and then share the video with us. We will show it on screen and we will also enter it into the dance programme of our film festival, which we run every December. If you're temporarily or permanently chair-based, there's also a warm-up you can do here created by our associate wheelchair dance company Folk in Motion, and that focuses on relaxing your upper body and improving your breathing. The Photographers and Filmmakers Club usually meets on the 2nd Monday of each month. We're inviting you to make a video at home with the theme of home and share it with us. You can use a phone or a camera, make any kind of film you wish, including drama, documentary, dance, animation, artist films, comedy, and they'll be eligible for a CAT award at our December Film Festival. You can also watch with us from home. In addition to Together 2012 TV with Together Unlocked and other live streams, we have the Together Disability Film Festival highlights. Each year we run the International Together Disability Film Festival in Stratford, bringing together a wide range of films by disabled filmmakers, as well as films about disability issues and disabled people. We always publish the programmes online with links to the films that are freely available. So we invite you to revisit our recent film festivals from the comfort of your own home, and also to send us reviews of those films. And finally, you can sit back, relax, and enjoy videos of past live performances, artist talks, and creative workshops that we've produced in the past here. So, for example, from past festivals, we have documentation and films of creative dance workshops, street art performances, dances that the dance club have created, dance performances, and of course, we're continuing to add new activities on a regular basis. Right, now we're back trying to brush off the dreadful puns. Julie, I know you wanted to talk a little bit today about filmmaking with screenshots, and I'm also keen to talk a bit more about slow TV. Just to start off with, could you remind us, it's on the links from last week on the highlights and links page, but your coral reef that you were just beginning to tell us about?
My mind's just gone blank.
It's a live feed, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But it's the Coral City camera, and it's a science arts joint project based in Miami in Florida. It's set in about 10 feet of water, just to the side of one of the main egresses and ingresses into Miami port. What's happened is that they dumped some riprap, they call it, which is just concrete blocks, effectively, that we used in the past to try and stop some of the erosion in the Everglades. And they've planted, and by naturally allowing it, there's been some growth of sponges and corals, and there's a little ecosystem down there because it's protected. So there's a 360-degree camera set up with a dome, and it turns about every 4 hours. It goes to a different aspect, so you can see north, south, east, and west effectively. And obviously, the viewing is affected by the tides. Although the big cruise ships aren't actually being used because of the pandemic worldwide, they are moved occasionally, obviously, to keep the engines running for servicing, etc., etc. And I believe probably the docking fees in the dock are probably quite expensive for massive cruise ships. So there's a bit of turbulence that happens from time to time. The feed is live on a YouTube channel. You can access it through their website, or you can go directly to the YouTube channel, and see it that way. There's also a Facebook page, and I don't know whether I'm sure there is an Instagram account, but I haven't actually tracked that one down yet.
Great. So what I wanted to pick up a bit with all of us is, it's in one sense it's that classic kind of live streaming camera, which again started off back in the 90s with somebody putting a camera up at the coffee machine at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and it became the first viral hit. You just watched people coming to get coffee, and that was how the internet started and has pretty much carried on. But slow TV per se is just natural ambient landscape and sound. And that can be anything really. It can be a couple of minutes as Merlot, the assistant's dog, sent us of woodland. It can be half an hour. It can be several hours. It was Andy Warhol, wasn't it, who had a very, very long looped film where almost nothing happened because, in fact, it was looped, but it was screened, I think, for something like 7 hours with somebody doing virtually nothing. But it's very, very relaxing in these days, not just of the pandemic, but these really pressured lives. One of the things I think it's really interesting, particularly if you're shooting things on your phone, is lots of people say to me they've taken lots and lots of footage, but they're not able to edit it. You know, whether that's access to the software, whether they don't know how to do it. This is the kind of thing you don't. It depends on not editing. So whether you're sticking your waterproofed camera into the water and just filming some fish, whether it's, I don't know, wind blowing through the leaves in your garden, you're just watching if flowers grow, it needs no editing. It survives without editing. And therefore, you know, if you've got something nice to shoot, I think it's a very good thing to do. What really appeals to you and what doesn't appeal to you if you're watching that kind of ambient footage?
There's a live chat which I find so inspiring because there's about 5 or 6 regular.
Well, that's with the live streaming. But what I'm saying is, if you take it away from the live stream,
What I was going to
what
say is,
appeals?
I use they've got a time system on it, so I use their pointers. I shut off the live chat, and then I make a note of the times, and I go and look at the fishes that come by. I've seen the most enormous shark sort of fly over. It was like a B-52 bomber. It was enormous. I've seen all manner of fishes which I had no idea existed.
So that's one of the things that really appeals to you is the drama. It has to, in fact, it doesn't, it sounds like it doesn't have to be very slow for you. It has to be really dramatic. What do you think about slow TV, guys?
Um, I mean, taking it out of being a TV, I can sit in front of an aquarium ad infinitum. I I just can. So if you know, so I guess I'm astonished that I haven't remembered to go and look at this because I'd probably still be watching it if I had. Because, but other things don't, and it's. I guess it's going to be about the specifics of the content. Because to me, Gogglebox is slow TV, and why someone would ever want to watch somebody else watching people watching telly is just and so I think it's very careful we make the definition that the slow TV is about being about the natural world. Yeah, I mean, and it's, but again, I guess it's, people move to the countryside so that they don't have to watch slow TV because they look out their windows and watch the butterflies and stuff and the birds and
And
the
I think
swain.
this is why it's nice to share. We spoke last week because Monday is one of the days that we focus on film and photography, about nature photography on our doorstep and indeed inside our house. And we'd looked at different photographs Josh had done out of the window and in the garden. We looked at some night footage I'd done of my wildlife kind of mini pond in the garden. You've got an aquarium, haven't you? I'm sure I've seen it in the background at some point. And I have an aquarium. Everything in my aquarium is a guppy that descends from 2 guppies I had several years ago. I suspect they're genetically unique. And maybe we should start trying to do some filming of the aquarium and see if we can compete with Julie. I think the reason slow TV is so popular is that most of us can't move to the country.
Yeah.
That is definitely one of those things. But as we talked about last week, you can find some fantastic stuff come to that in a house plant if you photograph it well enough, and particularly if you see an insect or two. We also, on a Monday afternoon, look at opportunities coming up for artists. So before we carry on, and I know you wanted to talk more about films from screenshots this week, didn't you? Because we've been talking the last couple of weeks about how you make films using stills. But first, there is a fantastic opportunity for deaf and hard of hearing women to do a creative writing workshop with Definitely Theatre. So I'm just going to put this film on next. And that was our very own Sahira Khan. We're going to be seeing a lot more of Sahira. In fact, I'm going to be announcing news of our festival next week and including a new production by Sahira. So, I mean, definitely theatre's a fantastic
lovely.
company, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it really is a great opportunity. We've known Paula Garfield and Tomato, who have been running the company for about 15 years, haven't we? And
They make some wonderful work. Their productions are so exciting and alive and new.
and did a fantastic signed Shakespeare in London 2012 as part of the Cultural Olympiad. But back to film, although of course creative writing for the theatre also accounts for film. You wanted to talk a bit more about screenshots, didn't you, and how that's different just to using ordinary stills.
Yeah, it's a bit of a poor relation, I think, because nobody really likes them very much, it seems, except for me. I really quite like screenshots for various reasons.
And can you define it
I was
before we
just
go
about
any?
to do so, yes. It's sort of a screenshot on an iPad is very easy. You just push the on off button and the central home shift button in the middle at the same time, and it takes a screenshot. It What's useful for me about that is it serves as a reminder of something that I really wanted to remember. And I was worried that there was so much information I was going to lose it.
So, just to come back to the real basics, a screenshot is a photo of what was on your computer screen at that moment in time, whatever you choose to have open. And it's going to photograph it exactly, isn't it? Including if you've got the programs open, it was the things like file or edit or all of that will come up, but you can edit it like any photograph later, can't you?
Well, you don't even have to use an editing program. All you have to do is pull up your photo library, and with two fingers, you can zoom in on what you want to see and take another screenshot, and you've got the screenshot that you want. Um, I use it a lot with an application that I love, and I have mentioned before, called Waterlog. So on my website, I've used screenshots which I've waterlogged and created into little pictures to illustrate or to demonstrate something on the website, on the page of the website.
And what does Waterlog do?
Waterlog translates a digital photograph and filters it so that it looks like a watercolor effectively. It's completely free. It's a wonderful, wonderful find. I've used it heavily for years and continue to use it virtually every day.
So we'll put that up under the highlights and links page along with everything else we've mentioned today. So do you just open the app and run it through?
What, the waterlog?
Yes, the Waterlog.
Yeah, it literally is so easy. You open the app and it says start here, and you select a photograph and whoosh, boom, 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 boom. It's happening. But I think the other thing, the other aspect of screenshots, which I think are very, very useful, over the period of time from the 10th of March, I've effectively got a diary because there's always something during the day that I will screenshot. So I've got a diary of things that I've read. I've got a diary of things that I've looked at. I tend to take screenshots of. Sorry, I've just lost my thread. But I do tend to take screenshots regularly, but also I play with them. So screenshots of the Coral City cameras. I've got quite a lot of landscape in, but if I want to identify a fish, then I do that two-finger zoom, I enlarge it, I take another screenshot, and then I reference an online fish identifier. And it's so exciting because I'm just learning so much all the time.
And what about turning that back into a film? I think we've talked previously, haven't we, about having the soundtrack and putting stills in. We've looked at where you can get photos that you can use that the photographers have allowed people to use without copyright and paying a fee. Have you done any of this kind of technique, Josh, with your filmmaking?
I've used screenshots quite a lot, not necessarily in a filmmaking sense, in an artistic side of things, but in my work with athletes and things, um, I will kind of show them a video and kind of go through it slowly. But sometimes, especially with some of the younger athletes, actually kind of finding a couple of key pictures, key images, key frames that I want to show them, screenshotting them, and then I can kind of doodle on them and like, this is the line of your arm and it should be over here. Um, there's no reason why you can't do that in an artistic sense. So, you know, if you're filming something, for example, we're talking about nature photography, you know, if you don't necessarily have the reactions quick enough to kind of hit the shutter, you know, set your phone, record for 5 minutes, then go through, find the picture in the video that you like, screenshot it, and then there is your still nature photo. And then you don't have to worry about holding your phone still for 5 minutes. You can leave it there, go and make a cup of tea, come back, and then see what you've got.
I think that's a terrific tip because you've got nature photography, slow TV, access covered all in one go. So, you know, you've got a bush covered with bees or butterflies, something, flowers covered with insects, birds coming backwards and forwards. Yeah, prop your phone up, have a cup of tea, which is a very good link to say in a few minutes' time, we will be playing you for the first time a nice cup of tea, which is our sea shanty with lots and lots of images from the last few months. We started this live stream on the 30th of March. On the 31st of July, which was our last one as officially shielding, we made our 50th episode and now we're on a bit of a roll. But what we'd love you to do either now or later, because it's also on our website under Together Anthems, is to record yourself on your phone singing along with us. What we want to do in the autumn for our festival is put everybody's voices together and re-release this film. So do bear that in mind. All you've got to do is set your phone to record and sing along, and we'll be putting that on in 2 or 3 minutes. We've actually got a bit of singing to do ourselves, haven't we, Robin?
We
Because
have indeed.
Julie has a birthday tomorrow. Josh
And
has a birthday
Have a birthday
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
And Penny Pepper, our writer in residence, had a birthday yesterday. All of whom were so considerate they managed to do it on a day that wasn't a show day, for which thank you very much. Many happy returns. Hopefully, next year we'll be able to celebrate with you all in person. But in the meantime, Robin,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Josh,
Julie and Penny.
Julie and Penny. Happy birthday to you. And any out of tuneness in that was caused by the latency in the signal.
Okay.
There is, of course, an app for that too. So, coming up on Wednesday, you won't be surprised to hear we will have another app date for you, possibly even with a special guest if we can fit one in. We have our Nature Watch with Merlot
yay.
Pleasure. I wanted to say
Yes.
Precious Newman with his very own slow TV from the Suffolk Woodlands. We have our very own Josh Surgeonator doing his usual virtual gaming report. And we will be racing in the Clockwork Paralympics as usual for the right of our teddy bear to wear a medal. In fact, my teddy bear, Tony, is so disappointed he appears to
wandered
be
off.
on the floor.
Yeah.
But I think that could also have been something to do with the cat who appeared earlier. If you weren't able to see that for yourselves, we have, well, they now have their own webpage under the Together TV menu. So if you want to know more about the anarchic pets, have a look at the Together Unlocked Animal Hosts page. We just don't know what more to say. So I think we will be saying goodbye from here.
Yeah, and it's good.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's goodbye from here, and enjoy a nice cup of tea.
And Josh, have a lovely birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, all of you. One of the traditions in sea shanties, and one of the reasons we like it so much, is they are songs that anybody can sing. They're also known as chanties, and that's because you can chant them or shout them. And they're working songs, and it's all about the rhythm and all about the work. What I was going to say, I think, is that on a Friday, we always have a bit of music at the end, very often Robin playing us out. Last week, we had Robin's version of I Will Survive called We Will Survive. You can find the lyrics on the website under Together Unlocked Anthems. And last night at Zoom together, we were discussing, shall we say, the kind of rather adult nature of a lot of shanties, because the lines were each contributed by the sailors who were singing them, and a lot of these songs would have the same rhythm and the same tune, but completely different words. So we are going to try, with you joining in at home, to sing A Nice Cup of Tea, and which is based on A Drop of Nelson's Blood,
Which is rum.
which is rum, and was given out to the sailors, wasn't it?
Yep.
Together runs, and everybody who comes to Together activities knows this, we run on ample cups of free tea and coffee. So here we go. Oh, a nice cup of tea wouldn't do us any harm. A nice cup of tea wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, a nice cup of tea wouldn't do us any harm. And we won't be left behind. And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. Yeah, we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. And we won't be left behind.
Oh, writing a new poem wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, writing a new poem wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, writing a new poem wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind. And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.
Oh, taking some photos wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, taking some photos wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, taking some photos wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind.
And we'll
Stay alive and keep our spirits strong. Yes, we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind. Hey.
Oh, a phone call with friends wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, a phone call with friends wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, a phone call with friends wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind. And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.
Oh, an hour with the crochet wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, an hour with the crochet wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, an hour with the crochet wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind.
And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. Yeah, we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. Yes, we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.
Oh, playing the guitar wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, playing the guitar wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, playing the guitar wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind. And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.
Oh, painting a new picture wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, painting a new picture wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, painting a new picture wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind.
And we'll
Stay alive and keep our spirits strong. Yeah, we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.
Oh, joining in a Zoom wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, joining in a Zoom wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, joining in a Zoom wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind. And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive, keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.
Oh, to have a little dance wouldn't do us any harm. To have a little dance wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, to have a little dance wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind.
And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. Yeah, we'll stay alive. Keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.
Oh, shooting a new film wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, shooting a new film wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, shooting a new film wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind. And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive, keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.
Oh, banging our own drum wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, banging our own drum wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, banging our own drum wouldn't do us any harm, and we won't be left behind. And we'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong. Yeah, we'll stay alive. Keep our spirits strong. We'll stay alive and keep our spirits strong, and we won't be left behind.